Today we're learning a great, easy ukulele song by Eric Clapton. This is Wonderful Tonight. We're going to start with the chords and then a strumming pattern and then a fun way to play the chords, and at the very end of the song we're going to learn that melodic guitar hook. You know the one. So if you're tuning up and ready to go, let's get started. Okay, so the great part about this song is that it's nice and slow and there's only 4 chords in the whole song. Well, technically 5 if you count the extra one in the chorus, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. These are chords you're already going to be familiar with if you've been playing the ukulele for a while, but either way I'll put them on the screen so you can follow along while I'm explaining things. Alright, so we're in the key of G, so the first chord is going to be a G. Why don't we do 4 Gs? Then 4 Ds. Alright, 4 Cs. And then 4 more Ds. Always, before you add the strumming to a chord progression, to a sequence of chords, you want to make sure you can switch easily between them. So it might be worthwhile just to practice for a little while going G to D to C to D. And just making sure that before we add any tempo, before we add any strumming, that it's easy for your left hand to find the notes they need to find, okay? So this is the part, by the way, that goes... It's late in the evening. She's wondering what clothes to wear. Right? That's the whole verse section right there, okay? We play that part twice, and then we move on to another section. Before we do that, though, I want to share that there's a second strumming pattern. So after you do the first simpler strumming pattern with all the down strums, we're going to add a little rhythm to it. And I'm going to put it on the screen so you can see it, okay? So instead of going straight down 2, 3, 4, we're going to do some down ups in there. Something like this. Down, 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 up, down, up. Okay? The counting for that will be 1, 2, whoops, I didn't like how that sounded. We'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So I'm just staying on the G just to demonstrate. Of course, once we apply this strumming pattern to the song, we'll be changing chords every measure, like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 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 1. Okay? So that just sounds a little bit more, has a little more pizzazz to it. Okay? So let's check out the chorus. So the chorus goes something like this. So we have C, and then when she asks me, right? 4 C's, 4 D's. Then, do I look alright? Now, what was that? That was the walkdown. So what is the walkdown? A walkdown is when we go down one note incrementally like that in a song, right? It's a very common move in music. And the way that we do this is we go G, okay? And then we're actually going to bar the bottom 3 strings here like that. So you don't want to have this one barred. You want this one. You want the 4th string, the one closest to you. You want that one to be open. Do I look alright? And then to E minor. So that's a G major 7, and then E minor. So by the way, that's the only time in the whole song that we have 2 chords in one measure right back to back. By the way, if adding that little part feels overwhelming, you can absolutely skip it and the song won't lack anything. We have C, and then when she asks me, and then G major 7, E minor. And I say yes, you look wonderful tonight. By the way, if you want to see the chords and all the materials for this lesson, you can click the link in the description. It'll take you right to a page on my website that has all of this on it, okay? Okay, so once you feel comfortable with the first part, we can take a look at a fun way to play the chords. So we already have our 4 down strums. We already have our strumming pattern, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we can do it another way. So we don't have to play every note all at once, all the time. Instead, we can break up the notes of the chord and play them as arpeggios, or broken chords if you don't want to get too fancy. So we can take the first chord, for instance, break it up like this. That's me playing from the string closest to me, the 4th string, the G string, down to the floor, like this. Right, next chord. And it's very pretty. To me, it sounds kind of like a harp or something. And it sounds especially nice with the melody. It's late in the evening. She's wondering what clothes to wear. Right? It just sounds very pretty. And of course, you could always add the strumming later in the song if you want to start with the broken chords and add it. It's totally up to you. If you want to stick with one instead of the other, that's totally fine as well. Again, all the tab and everything for this will be available on my website. Just go to the link in the description. So now, the moment we've all been waiting for, we're going to learn the hook of the song. We're going to learn it in 2 easy steps, okay? So in the first step, we're going to get familiar with the notes, where everything is located, how to put it all together. And in the second step, we're going to dress it up a little bit, make it fancy, give it a little bit of that nuance we were talking about earlier. So the first thing you're going to do, take your pointer finger, put it on the 2nd fret right here on the 1st string. Remember, the 1st string is the one closest to the floor. Start there, just play that, okay? We always want to start with as little music as possible. So the smallest amount of music you can play of any song is a single note from the song. Keep that in mind when you're practicing. So we have that 1st note, 2nd fret right here, all right? And we're gonna play that and then the open 1st string. So start there. Nice and simple. You can play it slow, you can play it fast. We'll play it a little bit faster later, but for now, maybe keep it a slower tempo. Oh, that was weird. I'm going to leave that in though, so you guys can see that even I make mistakes. All right. Check that out. Now, the next note, the 3rd note, is going to be on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. All right. So that's... All right. So the last note that's going to kind of round out that phrase is going to be going back to the 1st string. So it'll go something like this. 2nd fret, open on the 1st string, 3rd fret on the 2nd string, and then the open 1st string again. Something like this. So I wouldn't recommend playing it quite that fast just yet. I just wanted to demonstrate how it sounds. So the second part of the phrase, very similar to the first, and you can see by the tab I'm putting on the screen that they are nearly identical, except on the last note, instead of going back to the 1st string, we go to the open 2nd string. Check this out. 1st phrase, 2nd phrase, open 2nd string. Okay? So here it is together, nice and slow. All right, going to the 1st string right here, and then going to the 2nd string the 2nd time. Okay? And then we do a variation on the 1st phrase, except after that open 1st string, we're going to do a little climb on this 1st string right here. It's going to go like this. Open, 2nd, 3rd, and then a little leap up to 7. All right, so if you need to count to get to 7, that's totally fine. Open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it'll be open, 2nd, 3rd, and then a little jump to 7, and then the 5th. I'm going to play that in context, and then I'm going to explain a little bit more about it, okay? Nothing too hard, as long as you put everything together nice and slow and really make those connections in your brain for what goes where. So I want to tell you what not to do. So you don't want to stretch your pinky up to this 7, okay? That, if it looks uncomfortable, it's because it is. This does not feel very good to me. I would much rather just scooch everything over my whole arm to right here. Now, like I said, there's a second part to this. We're going to check that out right now. As you can see, the tab on the screen has changed a little bit. Before a couple of notes, we have little slashes underneath them. So the slash means we're going to slide into that note from below. It's going to look something like this. So we start a fret below the note we want to end on and slide into it. Now, we don't want this to feel like we're dragging our hand over to the right. That's not very comfortable, and you're not going to be able to do that fast enough in order to play it in the song. So you just want to work on getting that maybe nice and slow to start. And you can see, I feel that I'm sort of moving in from the wrist. A little bit like that. It might take some experimenting to get that, but it's going to be really gratifying when you do, so I would keep at it for now. We're going to put that on the 2nd fret, and then here again, in the 2nd part of the phrase, we're going to skip it on the 3rd part, and add it here. So keep in mind, you will have to practice getting to the note that you're going to slide from. What does that mean? That means if we want to slide into 7, we need to stop on a 6. And slide really quickly into the 7. Like that. Now, if any of that feels too complicated, I would recommend just master the original version and add this later if you want. Remember that we want this to be as fun and enjoyable and frustration-free as possible. So if that does feel too difficult for you, you can always come back to it later after you've learned a couple more songs. Maybe after you feel like you've mastered this song and you just want to add it as something extra, you could do it that way too. Either way, let's try to keep this enjoyable and fun. That way we can keep our motivation and just keep on improving. So now we're going to do a little play along. I'm going to play through some different sections of this so that you can play it with me. I'm going to be using the strumming pattern from before. But if you want, you can play along with the arpeggios or with the strumming pattern or just with the 4 down strums from before. That's totally fine to do while you're getting used to it. Let's play these chords a little bit. So we're going to go first. I'm going to count us in. Okay. That means I'm going to count to 4 and then play the song. So we're going to start with a verse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the chorus. Here's a little nuance. Okay, so that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed this beginner ukulele lesson. Like I said before, all of the materials used in today's lesson are going to be in the description. There's a link to my website and you'll be able to find it there. If you found today's lesson helpful, please consider liking or subscribing. If you have any topics or songs you'd like me to cover in a future video, please let me know in the comments down below. I read and respond to all comments. And until next time, happy practicing.